and welcome to Chapter 6, Building Middle Leadership Capacity. I'm really excited to be joined today by Tobias, a good friend and somebody who I facilitated with and I respect very much in this regard to today's topic. Before we get into today's topic, Derek, can you give us a little introduction to yourself relative to the topic?
Thanks, Mike. Absolutely. Yes. So welcome. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm Tobias. My focus for my entire career has been around leadership development. I've had many years in the high-tech industry, working for Nortel Networks and Cisco Systems, high-tech firms, but my focus was on leadership and people development. Since then, the last 16 plus years, I've been running my own company, Latitude International, with a continued focus on leadership and team development.
Great. Thanks, Derek. Hey, so, let's just get right into it. What is capacity building and how do we develop the capacity of middle leaders?
Okay. So, simple definition, capacity building is development, but I think it's more than that. It's not just taking a few individuals and looking at a few skills and giving them those skills. It's a much broader strategic approach. It's looking at the broader knowledge and skills required for success at each level of the organization. It's looking at the entire team. And so if you're looking at what a middle leaders need, right, this is a challenging role. It is in the middle. So kind of capacity building that they need is the capacity to look upwards, understand the broader context in the organization and school, and make sure they're clear on what that means for them. They need to be able to translate these needs to execution and be able to drive results. So how do they actually drive results at their level in the school? Third one here, and this is the tricky one, how do they develop their own teams and build capacity? And that's kind of the trickiest one and kind of why we're here.
Yeah, exactly. So I really like these kind of early points you've made because it aligns so well with the rest of the book in the sense that you need to be clear on what the school is doing. And capacity building in this sense is not just a fixed job description. It's going to change. When the needs of the school changes, therefore the capacity we need to develop changes. And the training and development that middle leader needs will also change. Absolutely. So there is no sort of one size fits all solution that you can use year after year after year. So hey, with that in mind, what are a few common challenges to developing leadership capacity and some solutions to those challenges?
Okay, great. Plenty of challenges. I'll focus on three. I think the first challenge is at the middle leader level, they are and they need to be focused on results and execution. And that focus is so all encompassing that what gets neglected is the capacity building. It's this lack of time, and the time gets spent on the execution. And at the senior level, again, they're focusing on making sure the middle leaders are executing. So really the focus on the development and capacity building doesn't happen. What's the solution? Well, it's not an easy one, but I think it's recognizing that building capacity is an investment. It will pay off. And when you've made that investment, the team, the middle leaders, the entire organization can do more and be more effective. It frees up the middle leaders to do more. And so it's about making the development a priority, not an option. So that's kind of the first area, that first challenge. Second one is getting clear on priorities, right? So once you've decided, yes, I do want to make sure there's investments happening, we are going to develop capacity, where do you focus? There's so many things to focus on. And this is where this ability of the middle leaders to be able to look upwards and kind of say, what's the context? What's most important that we need to develop ourselves and our team? So getting clear on priorities. You can't do everything. How do we make the best use of the time? Third one is getting the top leadership support and putting top leadership support towards capacity building at the middle leader level. So top leaders need to be thinking about capacity building as well. And they need to be able to take time to mentor and develop their middle leaders and help them ensure that this development remains a focus. Again, it's a challenge because so many other things seem to get in the way. But again, back to this idea, this is an investment and it's the best investment ever. It helps the whole organization.
So we're really looking at it in terms of the fact that this is an investment. It needs to be made. It needs to be prioritized. that investment is going to be related to whatever that top level objective is. And, we have to keep that in mind for any investment we make. It can't just be sending somebody off to, say, a training. It has to be something that's related to what we want to achieve and how we can connect to it. But most importantly, in order to connect to it and to help our middle leaders really be able to actualize what they're learning, senior leadership need to take responsibility. And this really comes to our last question, and something that I've really enjoyed facilitating with you on is the coaching and mentoring classes. And specifically, I can't think of a better person to ask this question, but how do we bring the 70-20-10 rule to life? What is it, and what is a good example of how we can use it to develop middle leadership capacity?
Okay, great. Thanks for asking. And it is really important because this is really where the action happens. So 70-20-10, if you're not familiar with it, it comes from studies done by the Center for Creative Leadership. And they looked at hundreds of very senior leaders, very experienced people, and they surveyed them and said, how did you become successful? What contributed to your development? And the results were across the board that around 70% of their development was from on-the-job work. About 20% was learning from others, being coached, being mentored, and around 10% was actual training, formal training and development, that kind of stuff. So that's where you get the 70-20-10. They're all important. The best kind of development comes from a combination of all three. What typically happens, though, in organizations, in schools, and any kind of place where learning occurs, people tend to focus a lot more on the 10%. So the standard scenario is, all right, so-and-so needs some development. They need to develop some influence skills. Let's send them to influence training. They come back. How was it? Oh, it was great. Good. Go back to work. And it's actually forgotten. And so really, and the skills get forgotten. 70-20-10 is a way to bring that to life. So I'll use that example of influencing skills. I think at the middle leader level, it's a critical skill. You got influence upwards, you got influence, across at the entire level, and then the team. It's absolutely fundamental. So how do you do it, right? So yeah, I think the first step is let's actually take the training. Let's get the influence skills, however way you want to do it. It might be a training, it might be reading, it might be self-study. You get that, but you don't stop there. What happens is you say, all right, now where can I apply? Who do I actually need to influence in the organization, right? And you identify a few target people and situations. And so the senior leader, if they're working with the middle leader, might say, all right, let's identify these people who you need to influence, and let's figure out what did you learn from the training that you can apply. Let's actually draw from that learning experience, and I want you to apply it in these influencing situations. So, all right, so that's great. So the middle leader goes out and applies those things. Now, like anything, it's not perfect. Tries a few things, some things work, some things don't. So you have a conversation. The senior leader and the middle leader have a conversation and say, all right, good, what worked, what didn't? What do you need to do better next time, right? And let's continue this journey. Let's get some feedback from a few other stakeholders. So that feedback is that 20%. The actual trying things out on the job is the 70%. And you don't stop there, right? That's just round one. Let's keep going with this. All right, now I've got some feedback from stakeholders. Let me do round two. I'm going to go back to those situations. I'm going to continue to influence in those target situations, apply a little bit more and learn and apply. All right, go back, get some feedback from my manager, get some feedback from others, and so on and so on. It's iterative process. That's really the power of 70-20-10. So it's not a one-off, attend the training, you're done. That's just the beginning. It's this ongoing application. The 90% of do it on the job, get some feedback, apply it again on the job, get some feedback. Incredibly powerful.
Yeah, no, it's great.
One more thing, Mike. The beauty of this is the time challenge. When we come back to the time, this doesn't have to be a huge investment of time, right? It's really about the conversation where the senior leader has the conversation with the middle leader. What did you learn? How can you apply it? What can you do better next time? And keep going with that. That doesn't have to take a lot of time.
Yeah, and I like how you address the time challenge, because when we really think about time, schools are so busy with people just doing stuff. There's never enough time to do everything they need to get done. But imagine if we're working together to get things done that we are jointly invested in. the things that as a senior leader, I need help from middle leaders to get done. So the time I invest in helping them develop is actually time I'm investing in helping them to get stuff done for me. And if we can align it with what the school needs and with what our middle leaders are doing and what their teams are doing, then ultimately the time is being very well spent and much more efficiently spent.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Derek, I want to thank you so much for providing your perspective on this topic today, as well as your experience. And just on behalf of everybody that's watched this video, thank you so much.
A pleasure, Mike. Cheers.